It's been almost exactly 2 years since the contested elections in Iran that kept Mahmoud Ahmadinejad in power and led to the Green Movement. My next guest was in Tehran to cover those elections for Newsweek until the Revolutionary Guard came knocking at his door one day. Maziar Bahari spent the next 118 days in Evin prison, much of it in solitary confinement. He's written a new book about Iran and his experiences there. Then They Came for Me. And he joined me to talk about Iran 2 years later. Welcome back, Maziar.
Nice to be here.
We've all been watching this Arab Spring. It's not happening in Iran. Is that because the regime is different, or they are just able to completely brutally repress it?
I think there are two main differences between the situation in Iran and the rest of the Middle East. One is that Iranians experienced a sudden change, a revolution 32 years ago. So they approach any sudden change with caution. They do not want another revolution. And what happened in 2009 after the election was not a revolution either. It was a movement for change, for reform. The other difference between Iran and Arab countries is that Ayatollah Khamenei, Iranian supreme leader, Iranian dictator, he's been grooming his image as a clean leader in a sea of corruption. He's very different from Mubarak and bin Ali, for example. He has forbidden his sons to get involved in financial activities. And his followers, they think that this leader is almost a saint. I mean, if he were a Catholic, I think they would have beatified him by now. So Khamenei has a cult around him who are willing to die for him, and they're willing to kill for him. And in other countries, I don't think that was so.
There's a fascinating power struggle taking place in Iran, where Ahmadinejad seems to be sensing that this kind of overly Islamic republic or ideology isn't working. So he's been distancing himself from the theocrats. We tend to think Ahmadinejad is the bad guy. So let me ask this very simply, like, who's the good guy in this fight? The mullahs or Ahmadinejad?
Well, the simple answer is that none of them are the good guys. And according to people who believe Khamenei, they think that he, as the supreme leader, is the supreme jurisprudent. He is the person who can interpret the teachings of the Quran and run the country at the same time. What Ahmadinejad people are saying right now is that we do not need that clerical establishment. We can interpret the teachings of the Quran ourselves. So we can be in touch with the 12th Imam, the Shia Messiah, ourselves. So without attacking Khamenei directly, he is undermining the whole system of belief that puts Khamenei in power.
Is Ahmadinejad popular? Because he was, as mayor of Tehran, popular. He was popular for parts of his presidency as this simple, clean guy who was not corrupt as far as people knew. That's why he dresses in this very simple way. Does that image still hold?
No, I don't think so. Ahmadinejad had a lot of support because of Khamenei supported him. But now that Khamenei explicitly is not supporting him anymore, Ahmadinejad has lost his base. And that's why he's trying to steer people's nationalist sentiments. And that's why he's trying to have a new support base for himself. Ahmadinejad has certain people around him who are like a cult, and they have cultish beliefs. But at the same time, in their way that they're organized and in the way that they thuggishly behave, they remind one of Cosa Nostra.
In this bewildering situation, one of the things you have said on our show is, you used to say, don't forget this regime has some support. There are, whether it's poor people, rural people, some people who are very religiously minded. Do you feel like it's losing support? Is there any indication of that?
I think the regime is losing support every day. Last year, it had more support than now. Because the situation has become really untenable. All the ingredients that led to the demise of Mubarak and bin Ali in Egypt and Tunisia, they exist in Iran. High unemployment rate, inflation, an educated population who feel they are disenfranchised and their votes don't count. People used to say that when the monster goes out, the angel arrives, meaning if the Shah goes out, Khomeini arrives. And then they saw that it's kind of a monster went out, but something even worse replaced him. And now they're not saying that anymore.
In this mix, what should the administration do? What should the United States do? Because the Obama administration began its term trying to see if there was some way to establish a dialogue with Iran. And part of what happened was the regime is not really that interested in having a dialogue because they need the anti-Americanism. And then, of course, the Green Revolution happened. And I think right now there is no coherent policy toward Iran. Should there be one? How should they handle it?
It's, as you say, the situation is really complicated. I think that they should think more about the sanctions. They should lift the bad sanctions that hurt ordinary Iranians. They should allow more Iranians travel. There was a good development that they're giving visas to students, that the students can have multiple entry visas. I think what the United States should do is to provide means to communicate for Iranians. The Iranian people know what to do. Iranian people know how to determine their own destinies. But what they need is how to communicate with each other. And that means having better communication infrastructure, for example, satellite internet that cannot be censored. They need more filter busters. Companies like Google, Yahoo, YouTube should be able to deal with Iranian people freely without worrying about being reprimanded by the U.S. administration. They have to try to help Iranian people in general as much as possible.
In your book, you had talked about your mother who's how old?
84 years old.
Where is she now?
She's in Tehran.
The one part about this new life is you can't visit her.
I can't visit her. She comes to London every now and then, but it's very sad.
They let her out.
They let her out, yes.
And your father was jailed by the Shah's regime.
My father was jailed by the Shah's regime. My sister was jailed by Khomeini's regime. So, and again, our story is not unique. We are one of millions of Iranian families, thousands of families who've been jailed by both regimes. And my mother is a proud Iranian. She says that I was born in this country, I want to live in this country, and I want to die in this country. And many people in Iran, they say that. And that's why I'm very hopeful about the future of Iran. Because even though the government is trying to brutalize people, people are not losing hope. People are still fighting for a better future. This fight is with a bit of trepidation, but it is still a fight that will have very good results.
Maziar Bahari, pleasure to have you on.
Very nice to be here. Thank you.
And we will be back.
A journey in the heart of Croatia, in association with the Croatian National Tourist Board.
With the good food, you have to have a theater. You have fire, smoke, smells, everything. And at the end, you also have a bell. My name is Rene Bakalovic. I'm a food critic. This is sort of my second office. We have this slow food thing. This is slow shopping thing. We are in Istria. You have the treasure. And this treasure is, of course, white truffles. Truffles are the stars of Croatian gastronomy. Roman emperors used to have their olives here. They believed that best olives and best olive oil grow in Istria.
My name is Mario Pejic, and we're now in Bay of Stone, famous for the oysters. In Croatia, only you can find in this bay.
Croatia is sensory experience. The magic of this place is that you can probably buy some of the best food in the world.
No matter what your business, we have solutions to help it grow. And together, we'll take it to the next level, connecting your business to Africa and the world. Go to mtnbusiness.com. MTN, everywhere you go.